Hello, Serious Survivor here. I would like to introduce a new video series we will be presenting. It is called Welcome to the Apocalypse. This will be a series of several short stories or situations involving different types of people from the beginning of an apocalyptic scenario until it ends, or until they die. These will be broken down into several different series depicting several different end of times or SHTF scenarios that are likely to be seen in our lifetimes. These are fictional stories with fictional characters, but the situations could actually manifest, especially with the state of the world's affairs today. The series will be based on different types of apocalyptic scenarios such as grid down, economic collapse, nuclear holocaust or nuclear winter, and general SHTF. Each series will feature characters who simply will be named by their trade or skill set, such as prepper, or marine, or doctor. An example of the installment name would be Welcome to the Apocalypse, Grid Down Series, A Prepper's Diaries. We hope you will find these videos entertaining. And while we are depicting fictional characters, the storyline could turn out to be very real. If you watch the videos, you will see that we are using real equipment and evaluate some of this equipment while the character is trying to survive the situation. We will also be talking about and demonstrating various methods of survival and gear and supplies. We can learn about what did work for these people and what didn't. In the beginning, the characters will be completely unaware of what's happening until it happens. They will be surprised, possibly caught off guard, and will have to begin to put their survival plans in motion and their skills to use. This could and will help a lot of us to realize some things we may have not thought about before, and help us to reevaluate some of the procedures and or gear we're currently using or contemplating. I think this series of videos would bring a lot of ideas out and help people to plan, prepare, and survive. We will be producing at least one installment to the series every week, every Sunday evening, beginning on June the 18th. We hope you enjoy and feel free to make any contributions of knowledge in the comment sections below. So without further delay, welcome to the Apocalypse, the series introduction. When we speak of apocalyptic scenarios, a lot of different things come to mind and enter the discussion. Yet despite the overwhelming amount of speculation, no one knows exactly when or what will happen. Only that something can and something will change or reset the world and everything that we know in it. With over 7.5 billion people on this home we call Earth, it's only a matter of time before the inevitable demise of mankind does occur. It will not be a glorious or exciting set of circumstances. Adversely, it will be a descent into madness, chaos, and darkness. It will not resemble the Hollywood movies and theatrical productions that cater to the spectacular fantasies of a post-apocalyptic society. It will be just the opposite, where the heroes won't always win, and good will not always overcome evil. And you won't be riding off into the sunset like the protagonist in an old western. It will be dirty, it will be grimy, it will be filthy and unclean. It will be dangerous and double-crossing. It will be corrupt and morally bankrupt. It will manifest into behavior and actions that wouldn't or couldn't be acceptable or comprehensible in a rule of law society. The apocalypse is not something we look forward to and welcome with open arms, but it is something we should prepare for as best we can. Whether this uncertain future brings an economic crisis of massive proportions like the world has never before seen, or a grid-down situation with the devastation and the destruction of the fragile power grid in which we blindly depend upon for nearly everything in our everyday, energy-dependent network lives. This delicate balance of technology and power in which we rely so heavily upon could leave most people feeling helpless, abandoned, and afraid, and it can do this without even as much as a minute's notice. The devices that control, manipulate, and dictate our everyday existence could and will one day leave us dark and disconnected. This world depends on enormous amounts of energy to maintain our current lifestyle of gadgets, devices, and communication. Without these complacent comforts that our modern-day society has tied us to, a lot of people will be at a major disadvantage from the inception of the events and will have little chance of survival through the initial chaotic embrace of their new lives. In today's society, we have positioned ourselves to be absolutely and completely at the mercy of the faith in which we have placed in our technology. And without this technology, hysteria and confusion will ensue, and it's sure to follow closely behind our initiation into the new reality in which we face. The devices that we have become totally reliant upon are the same devices that will leave us feeling abandoned and stranded. Yet they will inadvertently teach us one final hard lesson. With their absence, survival itself will be guiding us to self-reliance and requiring a bitter renewal of the skills we once had. These are the same skill sets that we have lost through many years of inactivity, and this is all due to the convenient presence and comfortable existence that our advanced society has reduced us to. And there's another possibility. Maybe it will be nuclear war, courtesy of one or more of our multiple enemies from across the globe, or quite possibly the nuclear fallout from such a war. And then, the destitute nuclear winter that it will bring forth. The skies would become darkened and contaminated, with little to no sunlight piercing through the debris suspended within the dark canopy of a polluted atmosphere. Our faithful star would no longer provide much needed light, warmth, and sustenance to maintain Mother Nature's delicate balance. The earth would then become a very desolate, harsh, and cold environment. The things in which we depend upon to live would no longer be there for us. All of the vegetation and all of the crops grown on technology-reliant, energy-dependent farms, all of the foodstuffs dutifully prepared and carefully packaged and then shipped to our convenient local grocery stores, which of course would no longer exist. The livestock and poultry that is bred and raised only to feed us would not survive and would no longer be present to sustain our hunger. Everything that we so uncautiously take for granted each and every day would quickly disintegrate into nothing, only to leave behind distant, fond memories of the way things were and what we once had. All this as we desperately struggle against one another to obtain the simplest of necessities in this brave world, such as food, water, and shelter. Whether it's grid down, an economic collapse, or massive devastation, leaving behind only a handful of determined survivors, one thing remains absolute. The world will change. History and the understanding of our human nature has taught us that. And once we realize and understand that this new world has taken the place of our old existence, ask yourself, will you tremble at the feet of your new reality? Will you accept these terms? Or will you stand and fight? When you realize the childhood memories that you have cherished so dearly over the years would never be close to the memories of your children, and of what will their memories be? Hunger, pain, sickness, fear, death, everywhere. A lot of people think they may be ready for the collapse of a society. History has shown this to be untrue. Most are not ready. Most simply cannot afford to be ready, to be prepared. Most don't realize we are only 3 short days or 9 meals away from the desperation of hunger and starvation and the things that this kind of desperate behavior brings. It will bring famine. It will bring plagues, disasters, chaos, and death. Those who survive long enough to see the reset through will have to survive a world that the rule of law no longer applies. A world in which our most animal instincts and urges no longer hide in the darkest recesses of our minds, but they have slowly clawed their way through our consciousness and will begin to take over, to take control. When everything you have known and ever will know hangs in the delicate balance and is entangled in what was and what will be, memories erased, time elapsed, will you find your way, or will you be lost forever? When the reset comes, there will be no warning, there will be no signs, only a rude awakening and a step back in time. When what was once good is now bad, and what was once bad is acceptable and even good for those who don't fear it and lack the moral compass to fight against it. When the things that mattered before no longer mattered. These things we previously took for granted, our food, our water, our shelter. The search for these necessities now dominates us and controls our existence as if with a push button. Just a short few millennium, mankind has made it to great heights, to space and to the moon. Yet now mankind as a whole and people as individuals will have the hardest, most treacherous journey we have ever faced ahead of us. A journey, a challenge that will force us to reach deep within ourselves to find the courage and the bearing needed to remain alive, just to survive. When it comes to fruition and everything we once knew has been taken and bitterly replaced with reality unlike anything we have known before, will you adapt to it? Will you survive it? Or will you bask in the pale red afterglow that illuminates from the burning embers of the solemn remains of the inevitable and the inescapable destiny of our new tomorrow? Welcome to the apocalypse.